What's up, everybody? The 21st century contemporary consumer. Our civilization is a market that backgrounds existence for we the people shopping in this market. A complex mall that would utterly hopelessly fail with haste if the bureaucratic creators of arbitrary rules and regulations were allowed to open the hood of America and work upon the economic engine that drives our strong, tough, duct tape structure of society. Government intervention would reverse all the great things that democratic capitalism has done for our country. Right now, there's a bad rap on capitalism because people like Bernie Sanders, the Democratic Socialists, are trying to influence us into believing that excessive taxation on the well-to-do Welshers would expand this nation's security, relieving those afflicted by anxiety. Who are you, Bernie Sanders, to stand up in front of Congress and spread your idealism all across the chest of Madam President? What do you think you are, some kind of senator or something? What do you think that people would actually vote for you in your unknown, unexplored, untried methods of equanimity? What don't you see the morals in capitalism? What other system would teach McDonald's employees the highest standards of social well-being by paying them to do a job that requires them to tell every customer to have a nice day? That's the most moral thing I've ever heard. The truth is that excessive taxation on the more affluent citizens in this nation would undermine the conventional accepted conformities necessary to social structure sheep herding that everybody is benefiting from today. People will always need to buy things that they don't need. And as a result of this, they will need a perfect dichotomous system that portrays itself to be uninterested in a personal pocketed profit, but gives a picture of the profit necessary in order to provide you with dead-end jobs and lines of credit that will give you the satisfaction in thinking one day you can be affluent too. But in actuality, there are some of us that are making money betting bills, loans, mortgages will not be paid off. Bubbles will be blown and popped, but that is necessary when the sweet green bubblicious gum is not our own. People that are afflicted by the anxiety of the present recession should all realize right now that you have access to stuff that the wealthier of the wealthy 100 years ago can never get. Do you think that Henry Ford had a smartphone or Andrew Carnegie could purchase a 3D TV for the very low prices that Best Buy has to offer? No, sir. Capitalism is a system built on trust. People need us. They trust us to create the perfect opportunity of employment and competitive market environments that cannot be predicted to provide a service needed by everyone forever. But if it looks like it will fail, we will cut out and run without providing anything for the people that were working for us before. But that is okay because if the leaders of the businesses don't come out with something, how on earth can we move on to the next big thing and create new jobs for the next group of people that we can leave in a ditch when the next train of thought rolls off the track? Democratic capitalism can be destructive. Democratic capitalism can be disruptive and unpredictable, but the process of creative destruction is critical to a healthy economy and society. How come as soon as a company fails and people start protesting for unfulfilled promise, full paychecks, corporations get attacked by the public? Do these people not understand the system that we are trying to live by here? Is it greedy for us to collect as much wealth as possible if we are using a fraction of the fortunes we made to create opportunity and wealth for others? No. We believe that greed means taking what does not belong to you or simply taking too much of something. There is one family in this country right now that owns 40% of the wealth in America. The land of the beautiful, the land of the free, the land of capitalist democracy. Now, just to make this clear to everybody that might not fully understand the difficult, complicated processes of mathematical equating equations that are used to determine who is collecting too much of the coinage that makes up the proverbial pool of wealth that controls the American economy, 40% of the wealth is not 100% of the wealth, not 50%, not 60% of the wealth. So it is selfish for 60% of the American human beings that luckily, by the grace of God, at least have 2% of the wealth, 2% of the wealth to want more. It may seem that 2% is just a small fraction, but they use to provide all the things that poor people who cannot afford need. Now, it would be greedily absurd and immoral for 60% of Americans to expect the Waltons to share their amassed wealth with the rest of their fellow Americans after all the good they have done providing communities with the super awesome low prices Walmart provides. If they were to give up 60% of their wealth to the rest of Americans, then they would only have 16% of the total American wealth. One family would have 16% of the wealth of America, and 60% of Americans would have 26% of the wealth. And that is just absurd, selfish, and greedy for Americans that put no work into the well-being and workings of human welfare that the Waltons use their well-earned wealth for. The Waltons are the greatest American family ever to live, and people should be following their example of devotion to the rule of law, the highest order set in stone by our founding fathers that constituted the Constitution. People that were standing before the recession might have fallen down trying to reach the heights of shelves they were built up to believe they'd be provided with what is put in. Maybe an apology will do. Sorry, but financial crises are necessary for the success of others in this recession. It's just a case of normal free market creative destruction. Before you start developing critical thinking skills that you will probably use to judge capitalism, you should look at this real world lesson. It's easier to see the destruction that takes place in democratic capitalism than it is to recognize the creating and growth that also occurs. If you think you cannot perceive the prevalent, properly positioned prosperity that democratic capitalism provides all prevailing American peoples, just look at the standard of living improved by the production of plastic products spontaneously protruding from the unfortunate failure of those foreclosed. Peace, America.